Welcome to the channel. I'm Tony the Technician. Today we're going to be going into something that I picked up a couple months ago. So that is a heater for my garage. So I'm going to explain why I chose this one and how it's great for the scenario that I use it in. Now, obviously, its effectiveness is going to depend on your scenario in which you're using it in. If you're outside, if you're in like an easy up with sides, if you're in an uninsulated garage, things like that, it's going to vary, obviously. But for my situation, this is by far one of my favorite purchases that I've made in a really long time. It can be picked up in stores or it can be purchased online, and you can find it quite a bit cheaper online. I've mentioned it in one of my Amazon videos here a little while back, but let's go ahead and get into it. I'll show you how effective it is in heating my garage. So first off, I want to explain why I chose this one. So if you guys see behind me, in my garage, I only have two outlets besides the one up by the garage door, which I have my lights and everything connected to. I have one GFCI outlet behind my big toolbox here, which is inconvenient because it's behind my toolbox, but it's also faulty. So it constantly trips. It needs to be replaced, but I just haven't got the motivation to actually move the toolbox and get back there and fix it. So the only thing I keep on that outlet is this fan that I have mounted up in the corner. The other outlet is right here behind my monitor below the breaker box. And that is where I run basically everything off of. Now I do have my power station down here that everything actually flows through. Only a couple things actually run off of that outlet, so it's safer, but I don't want to run anything, especially something like a space heater, off of this outlet because I don't want to put any more stress on that outlet. So when I started looking into heaters, I came across, obviously I didn't want to go with the space heater or a traditional space heater. I also started looking at the kerosene, diesel heaters, the salamanders, and then the propane versions of them, which I know quite a few friends that use those, and they are extremely effective. Unfortunately, they use both electricity and fuel because they have a fan that runs them, and they still run roughly 1500 watts, same as like my small space heater. So that was out of the question. So I started looking at just propane heaters without forced air, basically just radiant heat. And they have quite a few different designs out there, and I finally found one that had really good numbers and a really good price and a lot of good reviews. So I found it in stores, but then I found it for like $40 cheaper on Amazon. So I'll have it linked down in the description for you guys if you guys are interested. Now my scenario, I have a 2-car garage, quite a bit of stuff in here. My house is brick and the walls are insulated. The ceiling is insulated for the most part, and my furnace is also in the garage. So anytime the heat runs, there is a vent on the side. And so anytime the heat runs, anytime the air conditioning runs, it actually does a pretty good job of controlling the temperature in here since there's that vent on the side. Now it varies a few degrees from inside the house because it's not insulated quite as well. The garage door is also insulated. Obviously, that's still much thinner than the rest of the house, so the temperature does vary quite a bit. Now, previous years, I would turn up the heat or the AC a few degrees to try and get it more comfortable in here, but then in the house, it's either really cold or really hot. And obviously, me or my wife did not like that. The reason I would do that is because I spend a lot of time out here, not just if I'm working on the car or working on a project, but I do all of my editing out here. I game out here. This is kind of where I spend my time when I'm not with my family. So I spend a lot of time out here, and my setup without the additional heater will keep the garage between 60 and 70, 74 year round. So if it's extremely hot out, 100 degrees, then it'll be like 74 in here. If it's extremely cold, like it got down to this year, -5, I think it was, it kept it 60 degrees in here. Well, that's not bad at all. I don't think anybody would complain about that. When I'm sitting here not really moving, editing a video that takes me a few hours, then I got my Hey Dudes and my wool socks. You probably can't see those, but it's a little more bearable, but I like to be comfortable. So I picked up this heater, and it is phenomenal. I can get it up to, on low, there's 3 different settings. On low, I can get it up to from 60, 65 to 75 in like 10 minutes. And I don't have to run it long, just those 10 minutes, then I can shut it off. And since it's insulated so well, it does actually hold that temperature pretty well. It'll take an hour or two for it to drop back below 70. And during that time, the heat for the house is actually running as well. So that also kind of keeps the temperature up in here, and it just works really, really well for my situation. So I've just now purchased my second tank of propane, and I want to say I ran it at least a solid month before I ran out. Now, keep in mind, that's for, let's say I run it 3 times a night for 10 minutes each, 30 minutes a night, any night that I'm out here, and it lasts me roughly a month. And that was on low. I've never even put it on medium or high. It's not necessary for my situation. So obviously, depending where you're using this at and what setting you're gonna have it on will depend on how much propane you go through. But I'll show you how I have it set up, how well it works, and hopefully you guys enjoy. If you guys are interested, I'll have it linked down in the description. So here's my setup. This is the one that I went with, and it is phenomenal. It is available at Lowe's for like $110. And then on Amazon, it floats between like 70 and 80. So it's a really good price. I would definitely pick one up again if I had to. So I run this for anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, just depending. And I usually, 70 is really comfortable in here, but I'll take it past that to 75 in order to let it kind of float there. As it drops, it's still comfortable in here. But I'll run it for roughly 5 minutes, just heating. But then to prevent it from, overheating anything up on my ceiling, I actually will run that fan, and it's right in the path of the heater, so it kind of circulates the heat all around the garage, and it does a really good job. Now over here, I was lucky or fortunate enough to have my heater, and here is the vent I was talking about, and it does a really good job of keeping it comfortable in here for most of the year. So here's a look at the actual heater. It simply just bolts onto the top of your propane tank, or clamps on, I should say. And then you just simply open your propane. Then you have this knob over here for off, low, medium, and high. I'll turn it to low. I've never even ran it on medium or high. It's not necessary. There is no built-in igniter, but it is still very, very easy. There's a little hole here that your lighter can go in. You push this valve. It states like in the instructions that you hold it for like, 20 or 30 seconds. That's not necessary. I usually hold it for 5 to 10 seconds, basically just until you start seeing this element in here heat up. And you just push this valve and light it. And now it's running. You can see it heating up. It's 1 o'clock right now, so I'm going to just let it run and see how long it takes to get up 10 degrees in here. So I'm not going to sit here and make you guys watch this not do anything for 10 minutes. So I'm just going to let it run, and then we'll be back, and I'll let you guys know how long it took to go up 10 degrees in here. All right, so it's been 17 minutes, and it is up to 73. Got the fan going, and this thing is just phenomenal. I can't state enough how happy I am with this purchase. Now, I do want to mention that since I'm using this indoors, when I did pick it up, I did decide to pick up a carbon monoxide detector just in case. I also have fire extinguisher, anything like that. But for just safety reasons, I did mount that, and I kept it at least, as far away from my heaters as possible, and haven't had any issues or anything like that. Now, this thing is extremely effective for me. I can't say, I'm sure, especially since this thing is on low, if it was on high, I'm sure it would heat it up really quickly. But 10 to 20 minutes is perfectly fine by me on low. And then to shut it off, you literally just switch it to off. And then I always just close the propane tank and shut my fan off. And it will hold this temperature for quite a while. So obviously, if you have kids, don't let your kids around this. But for my situation, this thing's fantastic. I don't know how it would be in all situations, but it has worked really well for me. Keeps me nice and comfortable. It lasts a really long time, especially since I run it on low. And at Lowe's, which is really close to me, I can pick one of these tanks up for 20 bucks. And if I have to pay 20 bucks a month for this, I'd be perfectly okay with that. And for those that may run it on high and maybe run it, multiple hours at a time, probably just have to be outside in the cold in order to need that kind of heat. But hopefully I've also put up in here throughout the video the BTUs for this on low, medium, and high. But once again, I'll have this link down in the description. If you guys are interested, it's there for you guys. But stay tuned to the channel. We got some more content coming here soon. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, please make sure to smash that thumbs up. Leave a comment down below of your guys' thoughts. There are many different designs like this. They have smaller single burners, dual burners, 3 burners, and this is equal to a lot of the 3 burner ones, but it's just one bigger one. So that's why I went with it. But other than that, if you guys haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.